Hello, welcome back to Eclipse, a Star Wars story. We're back another week with Rook, Price, and Ghoul, and where we last left off. Yeah, the officer just mentioned that there's a Lasat, or there was a Lasat in the storage bay.
I want its pelt.
Me too. I'll help.
Your fucking Trandoshan got.
The officer continues and says that was the last thing that we kind of saw was the Lasat. A couple of it was very strange. The camera was acting very strange, but that was clear as day. He was center of the camera view. Everything else was kind of blurry and staticked out. But purple with this giant staff that looked like it was electrified, but was also a blaster. It was strange. And the other officers that are there corroborate that story, everything he's saying. Of course, they mentioned that they were only in the command center and they never really left during this entire time. They corroborate what little they can of that story.
Yes, I wanted to kind of interrupt the officer. Well, no, I would wait for the officer to finish, and then which terminal controls the cameras? We need to shut them down immediately.
What?
We need to shut down
Oh,
all
I
cameras in
get
the
it.
facility. If you showed a trader how to use the cameras, then they definitely are going to have access to those and transmitted the data somewhere else. We need to shut them all down now.
Well, here's the thing is that I don't know if she was a traitor or not because she was zip tied with the rest of us. And he looks around and says, "Oh shit, she's gone." It's not good.
Exactly. Take the damn cameras down. Unplug them if you have to.
He nods and he gestures to one of the troopers that's sitting around, and he nods and gathers a couple of other troopers and runs out of the room. But he looks at you and says, "The weird thing is that she had her own access codes. Like that's one of the things that caused us to like not even think twice about it. Is we said enter your access code that you should have as an officer, and she entered her own access code and got into the system. So it was.
I have another question related to that. How early was the shuttle? How many days?
One.
1 day early?
Yes.
Do you personally know the captain of who should have been the captain of that shuttle?
Listen, I don't know if you were briefed before you came. Of course you were. You're ISB. Of course you would know that this station was very recently built, and the skeleton crew that runs this place normally sees about 100 different faces every 2 days. We are a relay point, a rest point, if you will, for um, numerous units that deploy to the northern hemisphere of this planet. We are a waypoint for shuttles to come in, pick up supplies for units that are already deployed, fresh soldiers to go out and relieve units that are currently out in the field. We see so many captains, so many people day in and day out that it's hard to keep track of normal faces.
Thank you for giving me a briefing on what I already knew. A simple no would have sufficed.
Yes, of course so. So now we go to Rook. Rook, you are standing in a mess, and I mean, quite literally, a mess. The storage area that looks like a giant. You are all. I assume you, final, are all too familiar with what a loading bay from a retail store looks like. The nice giant bay door with a dock for the truck to pull up to and unload boxes off of. So that's basically what it looks like, except the shelves have been knocked aside. Boxes are all over the place. There's a puddle of something on the floor
What color
down
is it?
below red. You're also standing very close to, if not in, a pool of what you're pretty sure is blood.
What kind of orgy was this?
Not to get morbid here, but how dry is this puddle of blood?
Oh, not very.
So this just happened.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
You are relieved to find a crate of stormtrooper armor still intact and sealed. You find the manifest. I assume that's what you're going for. Is you find the manifest and take a look at everything, and it appears that medical and food rations are all missing from this place.
So they only stole ration?
And medical supplies.
But they didn't take anything else out of this area.
No. And I will remind you guys and the viewers at home, or not viewers, listeners, I should say, listeners at home, that you guys are you're officially chasing the other team now. You're officially chasing the crew from Star Wars Oblivion. So everything that you guys are learning, everything that you're saying, what on earth to, is things that they've done. Like the girl that the deck officer is talking about, that's a player.
It's a character.
Yeah.
We've already made those connections.
Yeah.
Especially Leo and I, we've been DMing back and forth and making these connections already. But no, I understand that, but I'm wondering why they didn't take the Stormtrooper armor.
Why would they?
To get Stormtrooper uniforms so that they can move freely?
Yeah, but no. Dude,
That's what I would have done.
less obvious ways of getting that, I would assume. It's a bit more obvious.
You also can't hide in it. Pretty fucking out there.
No, but you
don't blend in. They can hide in the population.
They can hide in the gone. What he was going to say is they can hide in the population without it. Now, I see what you're saying. I would have taken some.
I'm not saying that they can hide in plain sight. I'm saying they can get onto bases without much questioning if they're wearing Stormtrooper armor.
They would go for officers' uniforms.
No, because that's a little bit too obvious.
They've already pulled this. They already went as an officer. He's got a point. The group Rail, they're bold. The group Rails hiding is bold.
They came here for information on how to.
Yeah, but they took food and medical supplies too, which means they're not doing well.
No, they currently they have access to either our communications and an outline of the entire troop deployment in this region.
Yeah.
Which ultimately is worth far more than a set of stormtrooper armor.
Agreed.
Oh,
because now they know where everyone will be, so they can just hide in the civilian population, and they'll take less casualties blending in with them than they will just slugging it out with stormtroopers.
It is then that you hear Tash over comms. So, do you guys have anything to report? Have you found anything of value that I should relay back to command?
As I've already informed you, there is most likely a Jedi presence within the Rebel cell. We found evidence of lightsaber cuts through a armory door, as well as Jedi mind tricks having been used on an officer here.
Well, that's not good. All right. Keep me informed. Have you found anything to identify some of the rebels?
Look for groups with a Lasat.
There was a Lasat.
Whoa! Did you say a Lasat?
Yes,
yeah, they're not extinct.
Yeah.
No, I know they're not, but a Lasat. We've been chasing a Lasat since day one here on Jannundal. His name is hold on. And you hear the sound of a keyboard in the background. He pulls up a wanted thing, and he goes into a small descriptor of a Lasat named Alphalas Solmek. Tash continues and says, he has committed pretty much every crime in the book. Assault, murder, hijacking of Imperial transports. He's been quite a thorn in our side here on Jannundal for a long time. And the fact that you have found him supposedly indicates that things are escalating. He's never done something quite this big before, but he's the most notorious of all thorns, shall we say. He asks you, Ghoul, do you have anything to report, Agent?
There's evidence of the use of B1 battle droids. Search all dark web markets you can find for any purchased in the area or possibly transported in. That does give us a decent head start on something.
You could always reach back out to that one contact you said you met. I'm
I'll
sure
take it
she
you didn't
would
find
know.
I'll take it you didn't find anything.
No, sir, I did not.
Okay, thank you, Tosh.
One more lead.
Can I just point out that we have somewhat of a description of one of the officer?
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
No.
was going to say.
Thank
Also,
you.
Tash, run a check for a young officer with slight freckles, long brownish black hair, female. If she is not an officer, then run a criminal database check. Imperial Navy would be where she's the officer at.
He comes back and says, no records show for anyone matching that description within the Imperial ranks. Running a criminal database check. No. Oh, shit. You hear him repeat it over and over a couple of times, and he comes back and says, Agent Ghoul, was it?
Yeah, but yes, that works too.
You wouldn't happen to remember the Interplanetary Imperial Espionage Unit, would you?
Potentially. What about it?
It would be better if you were all debriefed in a more secure location. And
Understood.
with that, he gives you guys kind of the notion that maybe you should step away from everybody if you want to get briefed on this particular person. But he also gives the indication that this is bad. This is not so good.
Let's just
Damn it,
return
Sigma.
to the shuttle. We can just return to the shuttle.
I put over the radio, dropship Romeo 1-1, make a landing on landing pad Alpha, and pick us up for a second. Stay on the pad.
This is dropship Romeo 1-1 coming in for pickup. And your ride drops down onto the landing pad. You all step on, and actually, you walk. Beforehand, the doors into the compound from the landing pads were wide open, easily accessible. As you guys approach, the technicians had started working, and salvage crew had started working on the doors when you guys had entered. But as you left, they had finally gotten the door to shut. And you see a hole in the door about as big around as.
Guys, a Lestat?
No.
Did they cut through
let me
the
think.
door with the lightsaber?
No, they did not. It's a very jagged hole.
Big bastard gun?
Yeah. No.
Explosion.
Not and kind of an explosion. It looked like light cannons probably did this. Something that oddly, actually, you realize that the door,
Dicks.
a hole was blasted in the door by a Lambda shuttle.
Okay.
Because yeah, sometimes those things are outfitted with
I wish I thought
cannons.
of that.
But you guys get back on your shuttle, and a hologram of Tash appears in front of you, and he starts to brief you. Where to begin? The Interplanetary Imperial Espionage Unit was a unit designed around a specific individual's capabilities to see other places and gather information about those places. And please keep in mind that what I am telling you is all that I can tell you, not necessarily because I don't have clearance and you don't have clearance, but because there are so many black bars in the way of the text that it's all that is able to be read. The long and short of it is that project was shut down when its single most valuable operative escaped with the help of some random criminal, and you just gave a description of her exactly. And on the hologram in front of you displays an image of a character, and he says, She was given a new name when her parents, for lack of a better term, donated her to the Imperial service. She was given the name Ophelia.
Do it.
That's pretty obvious.
After a few more back and forth, he tells you to keep an eye out because she can be very, very dangerous, but she also seemed to be extremely injured when she had escaped. So there was no telling if she had retained her powers or not, but by the looks of things, she probably has. So he warns
That
you
explains the
to keep an eye out.
well, that explains the medical supplies, though.
I def
We needed them
fuck
in
us,
this.
I guess.
How long
her
ago did she
specifically.
escape?
This was a couple of years ago. She's been on the run and has eluded capture for a very, very long time. Very long by Imperial standards, anyways.
Do we have any idea what type of medical supplies she took?
The types of medical supplies that were taken were your standard run-of-the-mill bandages, foam, stuff, stuff like that.
Nothing specifically that would help her long term.
No, nothing, and that's something about the base is that there was nothing really long term there. It was a way station. The entire thing, like you look down at
It was a
the
fob.
yeah, you look down at the fob from the shuttle, and even the construction, even though it's sturdy and Imperial built, it still looks like it was thrown together in a hurry as the Empire rapidly expanded across this planet. So
That's not good then, because that means that they gathered medical supplies that are used for an assault. They're planning something big.
Or they're already hurt.
From what?
no. It's not hard to get medical supplies through the black market. To get it
Exactly.
in this quantity, you need to
Yeah.
have something preparing or starting to prepare for something.
Exactly.
Because this
So
is like
when
industrial grade medical equipment. This isn't like you go to Rite Aid and buy a Band-Aid.
besides,
This
they
is.
also got all the weapons as well. They literally are arming for war. So where's their target?
Do we have any important events coming up
Good
on the
question.
planet?
Tash, anything?
he comes back to the hologram after Ophelia disappears and says, "We have several things going on planet here shortly. The governess is supposedly going to make a speech at the Capitol soon. Our head researcher here on Jannundal is doing something. That file's redacted too. Fancy that. Let's see. We have. Oh, that's interesting. And he shows you a list of a couple different people that will be coming into the system very shortly for kind of this meeting that is redacted to his level of clearance, and all that's available are their titles.
I have a question. How does he have anything redacted to him? Or Spec Ops?
That's just how the Empire works.
Yeah, I mean, you
We
guys,
are
if you
all
guys,
inherently
yeah,
useless in their
if
eyes.
you guys like especially you Rook and Ghoul, if you guys took some liberty to do some research on your own, you would definitely be able to find unlocked versions of these files.
I mean, in theory, I could.
Yeah, I mean, you
I'm a
could too.
shock trooper, and we are used as the Emperor's guards. So
Yeah, so,
and like
but you all know them by name. You see they're not dignitaries by any stretch of the imagination. The only dignitary that you see is the Imperial governess, who you know is Elise Van Trevor, who was placed in charge of the planet very recently once it was declared under complete and total Imperial control. The lead scientist, his name is redacted, but you could probably find that out in short order. But the ones that catch the one that catches your eye specifically, Ghoul, is that the only thing that is visible on the list is their code name. His call sign is Torture, and you know that this is your boss. This is the ISB officer that is like he is above you.
Sure.
One that catches your eye, Rook, is a designation, and actually, Price, you know this one too. It's PT 6066, and you know him as the one of the first and foremost Purge Trooper commanders. Rook.
Oh,
Yes.
that guy.
He was on that mission. Or rather,
Uh,
you corresponded with him before that mission. Then there is another one that you both, all of you kind of recognize a name, and it just speaks to the level of confidence that this person has, that they just don't care. And it is an inquisitor that is known as the Devourer. Their name is Kota Opal. And then one that you guys, you're all familiar with, very much so because you saw him before you deployed, is the Imperial commander for the sector. His name is Quintus Alistair.
So, is this going to be like a meeting of them all, or is this they
Yes.
just happen to be
Yes.
in the?
He said it was a meeting.
Okay.
Redacted for reason redacted.
Okay, we don't really need the reason. We just need to know that they're going to be all together, which they probably provide an amazing target for
Yeah, that
suicidal.
has
I was
to be
gonna
the
say,
target.
yeah, is this already scheduled? Because if it is, we need to cancel that.
So Tash reappears on the screen and says, "The meeting has not been scheduled. I can relay information to the different parties and notify them that for security reasons, that the meeting may have been compromised and that they should postpone until further notice. Is that what needs to happen?"
Who knows about this meeting other than us?
That has to be the target that they were looking for. They had access to the Imperial database, and if they had codes,
That
then they had
Yes, but
yeah,
barge
if
but
it
who
hasn't been
gave him the
planned
codes?
yet,
The problem is somebody, if this was going to be planned, somebody let the rebels know that this was going to happen.
and they
So
would
who
still
knew
need someone.
about this?
They still need someone on the inside then to make sure they know when it's planned. Otherwise, their attack was too early.
Nobody knows
Exactly.
about this, not even myself. I just found this manifest. I had to go
You
through with.
found?
No, I just, yes, because I don't have the proper clearance until I tell people, yes, I'm working with an elite team that's designated to eliminate all rebels on the face of the planet. And I'm
So
not
none of their
exactly.
assistants, nobody,
No,
nobody who works close
nobody.
to these people, no,
No,
except for the people themselves.
yes.
So you're telling me that either one of these people was willing to sell out the others to the rebels, or that somehow you are wrong.
Not
They're
or it
gonna
quite
could
start.
sure. I'm not quite sure I understand the question. I don't believe any of them would
If
sell out
if
the
nobody
others.
knew about this, then why would they risk this right now? Because they know that if
they could be
they
looking
do
for
something,
targets.
I
so they
believe
know,
Rook. I believe Rook
but
is
nobody
onto
knew
something.
about this.
Yeah, but it
How
doesn't
would
necessarily mean that they knew about the meeting. They could be
I'm
looking
looking.
for
I'm looking at
opportunities.
the encryption on this file, and I'm looking at the clearance level needed to access this. And Ghoul, like not even Rook, clears the level of access needed to view
so then how would they get the
part of
others?
this document.
They don't.
My guess is that Rook is correct in that they don't. My guess is since the and have you all run a computer diagnostic on the
But
consoles within the station yet?
They should be doing it as we speak.
Yeah, I
Copy.
did tell them to do that.
Right.
Um,
After they run that diagnostic completely, something tells me that we'll find that they only took like flight logs or something like that that would help them short term. The only rebel presence that has really been noticed here on the planet are a few outspoken people, and then there's the Lasat uh, that has just been a pain in the ass the entire time. But for the most part, there hasn't really been any major rebel action. We got actionable intel from a source that even I'm not sure of, that rebels were beginning to amass and preparing to do something. So we called you all in and we sent you to one of the suggested hotspots, and, well, it ended how it ended. But you all have been brought here to find these insurgents that are supposedly coming together to do something to the Imperial structure here on Jannundal and stop them. So I believe since only weapons and ammunitions were taken, correct, Rook?
Medical supplies as well,
Medical
And food.
supplies and
and
food.
rations.
These are all, and not even in large quantities, correct?
Not industrial quantities, no.
So I'm getting files from the base now. One of their shuttles was stolen.
We got that.
No, 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 no. You don't understand. Agent Lian, did you recover the box from the shuttle?
Yes, I have it with me right now.
Plug it into the console.
You sure that's a wise idea?
The line is secure. We, I mean, we retrofitted the gunship specifically for your team's needs.
Good. I'll plug it in.
So, yes, my suspicions have been confirmed. The shuttle that is crashed. Hold on. No, that's not what I thought at all. The shuttle that crashed was the one with the old codes? The shuttle that crashed was the one that they came in on.
So wait, they stole a ship from... They came in on a shuttle, crashed it, and stole another one?
Yes, that
So
appears
they
to
knew.
be what happened. So, by all indications, to address your concerns, Officer Price, it appears that they didn't know about the meeting and that they just stole supplies to survive.
This presents an opportunity, though.
How so?
If they find a meeting place, so many high-ranking people, that no matter the losses, they would probably be willing to take it just to annihilate so many high-class people within the empire here.
And since they haven't set a meeting place yet, this could also be the perfect trap.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We
Yes.
make a fake meeting.
Exactly. Have the real meeting happen off-world, perhaps on a Star Destroyer in orbit. It would work well.
I like this idea.
You,
I will get in contact with the appropriate parties so that arrangements can be made.
Good
And
thinking, Price.
he flashes away for a moment, and you guys are kind of left there in the gunship. Then he reappears, and he says, "Oh, you are not going to believe this." And on the hologram appears an image of several of the security cameras. And they are not live feeds like you guys ordered in the last episode. They all disconnected the different security feeds. Or was that this past one? I don't know. But like you guys ordered,
episode.
Yeah, last episode, the troopers disabled all of the security cameras so that no bugs would record anymore. But these are old recordings. And on these cameras, you see an array of different, and it appears one screen, then another screen, then another screen, until a couple of different images are present. And you see in total 7 rebels across the 4 screens. Or, well, the 7 characters, I should say. You see several more, a total of, that should be like 10, 11 rebels, if you count the 2 rebel guards and the Lasat. You see a human girl in a Imperial officer uniform that you have already identified as Ophelia. You see a B1 battle droid walking around, and you see him escorting one of the aliens that is next to B1 and actually has his arm over B1's shoulder, is an Iridonian, which, if it is the same race that Darth Maul was, the kind
No,
of
that's Zabrak.
humanoid, yes.
I thought he was a zebra.
Iridonian Zabrak. Oh shit. Yeah. Okay.
I think Iridonian is like a race within.
Oh wait, are they like the
Zabrak.
light side
The
version?
light skin.
Yeah, they're the light skin
Yeah,
versions.
okay, I know the ones you're talking about. Yeah.
You see a stormtrooper take off his helmet and reveal a face that is, and of course, since the Emperor has started phasing clones out of the Stormtrooper Corps, it could be anybody, but the image zooms in and identifies him as a convicted felon. A Twi'lek appears on one of the feeds. Yes, Twi'lek, a green-skinned Twi'lek, in kind of a pilot suit. And to your surprise, there is a Jawa in the mix.
Oh,
I swear, if that is
Wait.
Tech, I am going to just punch him.
I wasn't expecting that, but okay.
Then in the last frame, there's that.
Fuck is that?
That is a Herglick.
What the fuck is that thing?
Rap sheets appear next to zoomed in images of a few of these people, and the the human girl is identified as Ophelia, the escaped Imperial prisoner. One has a minor rap sheet. Her name is Aura Gami, pilot that was hunted down for stealing Imperial weapons, but was never found. One Gelmore Gray, the human in the Stormtrooper armor. Rap sheet says dealing weapons. Also mentions that a raid was conducted on his home. He was not found, but his wife was, and she was taken into custody. The Iridonian says that they never got a name on him, but he has a couple counts of just disruption and a couple of minor infractions, but nothing that sent him to jail or anything like that.
Wait, how do we not know his name if we have his conviction sheet?
That's
I
true.
mean, fake aliases are a thing.
Yeah. They never got like a solid anything from him, so his name is unknown, and there's a note that says may suffer from schizophrenia. And then the last one is next to the Herglick, and it notes worked for the notorious criminal leader Vivek Harding, who has multiple counts of murder, theft, just the whole 9 yards. And the Herglick is an alias to that, and the rap sheet only has one name next to it, and the name is Narsor.
So just out of curiosity, now that we know what our enemies are, do they know what we are yet?
Oh, I guarantee they know what we are.
They know there's people after
So
them, but
they
wouldn't
do
know
know
our
that
faces.
they do know that there are people after them, and I will say that they know what you look like. They don't know your names.
They know what now?
They know what you
Yeah,
look
sure.
like and what you are, kind of, but they don't know your names.
You don't know I'm a changeling because I haven't changed in front of kid. Yes.
I mean, to
No,
be fair,
they don't.
I'm always wearing armor, so they don't know what I physically look like.
No,
And-
yeah,
and
that's
so-
something that only
Yeah, 'cause the
that
camera.
is something that you guys have the advantage on.
Also, can I just point out the fact that Tech literally looks like a goddamn toad?
Yeah.
He does. He looks like a frog.
Yeah. When he posted that picture, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Tech. He plays a
Yeah.
certain type of character, doesn't just that.
Yeah. He came up. He was going to be some other race. I can't remember what it was, but it was like really OP, and I was like, you should tone it back just a little bit. And he was like, okay. And so he sent me a picture of a whale man. And I'm like, this isn't toned. This is toned back, but not in the way that I thought it would be. But okay.
A friend of mine listened to both of them, and they said that they're very disappointed in us. So
What?
In us?
On
in us, yes.
why?
Why?
I don't know.
What
I
did we
refuse to
do?
listen to them.
Wait, so hold on. Did your friend subscribe to the channel or something, or did they just go and listen?
I think so. They just said like, "Hey, I listened to the thing you told me to listen to. Pretty funny. You sound like a jackass." And most of the Empire shit is kind of just fucking around. I was like, "Yeah, that sounds about right." So
Does that mean
Yeah,
the
you-
other side wasn't?
I don't know.
I mean,
I
looking
have
at the
not
roster.
looked at it at all.
Looking at the
all I
roster of
know
people,
is that
how
I
would they
cannot
not be
see that
fucking
party not fucking.
Oh
Yeah,
no, they
totally.
do. They totally do. They do a
I
lot.
don't know.
Tash reappears on the screen after you guys have taken a look at all the debriefings, and he says, "It appears you now know your quarry. I will tell all units to uh, be on the lookout for anyone that matches these descriptions. They will have to
Good.
watch their steps, as it were."
Also
And
mark them in the database as HVTs.
Yes.
yeah, he nods, and
Don't
then
don't make it obvious though. The
Actually,
more we have over them, the more that they might slip up.
they have possible access and possible behind the scenes. Don't put them in the database because we don't want them to know that we're onto them. Keep this between
Without
us.
what Bucku said.
Roger that. So there's one last thing that maybe you should all be aware of. The Twi'lek, known as Origami. She crashed here on Jannundal, and her ship is currently being held. And he shows you a image on the planetary map of where the scraps or the remains of the salvaged ship are kept. And he says, "If you would like, I can dispatch a team to make sure that the compound is extra secure until you arrive, or maybe just put some eyes in that area to see what happens."
Put eyes in the area, constant surveillance. We will check it out as whenever we get a chance.
Roger that. In the meantime, there is something that requires your rather immediate attention. And he flips away to a scene once again in the city of Falcon. It is a couple of city blocks next to a line of docking platforms, or not docking platforms, but landing platforms, I should say, kind of the Mos Eisley style platforms, where it's this giant circular building that acts as kind of a wall / building to store ships in, so hangars basically. And he says, "We're getting reports of increasingly suspicious activity in this particular area. It's designated Sector Delta 13. Um, report says, oh, that's not good. There are reports of a clone trooper dancing and spreading rebel propaganda spread out throughout that entire sector of the city, along with increasingly suspicious activity from unknown parties, as reported by a local patrol. We would greatly appreciate it if you all would go and check it out. That particular part of town is it's very shady, and we have. This is not the first time that something like this has happened, so we would appreciate it if you all would go and check it out."
Understood. Any leads are welcome.
Yes. One last thing. You're going to want to be aware of this one. He calls himself Tunes. And a image of a clone trooper's helmet appears on the display in front of you. It is a Phase 1 helmet. Looks kind of battered, but it's still got the fin on it. And emblazoned on the helmet are music notes. And the image says, "Hey, hey, hey, all you fine folks, let me tell you a story about how the Empire sucks and the rebels win." It is now very, very, very dark. sky is overcast and clouded, so there is no moon out to illuminate the two figures that steal their way into a hangar towards the outskirts of the capital city of Falcon. One figure, a short, blonde human woman, leads the way as a Zebrak woman follows her. Both have blasters in hand. Ghoul. On the way to this remote landing bay, Laswell has explained to you her situation and how, through a multi-step process, of course, this is going to help you smuggle your weapons off-world. Of course, there are no weapons. It was a ploy by you to get in contact with this person, as you have multiple aliases that you go by, since you have the blessing of being a Claudite. Laswell has explained to you that a long time ago, she had a really crappy run-in with a gang that has recently come under new management, and she mentions a partner that she wasn't extremely fond of. They had a falling out, and she wound up getting backstabbed by the partner. The gang, which was called the Plague, is now under new management, and she alludes to the leader having a little bit of a grip on the galaxy, but she does not say who it is. The two of you come to a stop about a block or so away from the main entrance to this hangar. What do you do before you guys make your final stretch into the hangar?
I meant to clarify before the entire situation occurred is we have an Imperial garrison, so I was wondering if I could get a small cache of weapons in the event that I did need that as backup, because I have my own non-Imperial ship for this sort of undercover work, so it would make sense to have a few weapons just as a backup. Would that be a plausible thing?
That
Would
is
that be
definitely a
possible?
plausible thing. So you
So
have, we'll say that you have a small cache, 2 crates or so, of Imperial weapons. I think it's safe to say you sell yourself off as kind of a small-time smuggler with your own ship, which I imagine is also pretty small. But yeah, that's totally viable to say. Okay, so any questions before you guys make your way into the hangar?
yeah, I'm just gonna follow Laswell's lead. She seems to know what's going on here.
Okay. As you guys make your way into the hangar, you see a ship that seems oddly familiar to you, but you cannot place where. Go ahead and roll plus sharp.
11.
This ship is a make and model that is often used by smugglers and pirates and raiders. And she says, this particular landing bay and that particular ship happen to belong to the assholes that almost killed me. For she opens her mouth and closes it a couple times, liberating some Imperial weapons that should be in the hands of the Empire. Yeah, and she continues on with that, and she steals up to a wall within the shadows, just staying out of the lights that barely illuminate the landing pad. And out on the pad, moving a couple boxes around, it's fairly quiet because, again, it is early in the morning. There are a couple of raggedly dressed people. There are a few humans. There's a couple of Twi'leks. It's your standard kind of mix of your stereotypical Star Wars mix, I guess. There are no outstanding people that you see, I
Yeah.
should say. Okay, so here's the deal. That ship has codes that will allow you to slip in and out of the system undetected by the Imperials. How do you think they got in the first place? So if we can get the codes off of that ship and get it to you or somebody you know, then that will be your weapons out of the system and into some very good hands, I assume. And it will be payback for me as well as some asset acquisition, as they also have something that does belong to me. And something I need to ask you now, Ghoul, do you have an Imperial away team on standby, or are you flying solo for this one?
I would assume that I would have a squad of stormtroopers that I could call in if everything went to hell. And more of like the scout troopers, not normal stormtroopers.
Okay, cool. She turns to you and says, how do you want to tackle this? We can try and sneak on board. We can, I don't know how good you are in a fight, but she pats the blaster pistol at her side and says, I happen to be pretty adept myself. So, I don't know, we can try and take them all on. There's, looks like there's 6 of them out there. But if we catch them unawares, it might not be such a bad fight. But, yeah, we're going for those ship codes, so we can either sneak on or we can take everybody out in the process. Though I think the repercussions of taking everybody out would be a little bit greater, as the Empire seems to be closing their fist on this planet. So
Sneaking onto the ship would be safer and more on our terms than a firefight.
she
I
nods.
feel comfortable in a firefight, but 2 versus 6 still can get out of hand quickly.
I see. Okay. She nods and she says, all right, sounds like a plan. Then roll plus sharp.
7.
Ooh.
That's kind of close.
That was very, very close.
Don't
So
have gone. Ooh, that would have been a
you
6.
we'll say that that's a read a bad situation roll, and I'm going to tell you your best way in, unless you want to ask me a different question.
Best way in is going to be most beneficial, I hope.
You look at the scene in front of you and you see a path that will keep you in the shadows all the way to the ship. And it looks like, with the way that everybody's moving, that it will maintain relative safety all the way to the ship. So go ahead and roll plus cool to act under pressure.
Oh, damn. That's a 3.
7. Okay, so Laswell succeeded. So you just flat out failed.
Yeah.
Laswell has to make a hard choice, pay a price, or have a worse outcome. So I think the best way to resolve this is as follows. You decide that you want to go first. What happens? Do you trip? Do you bump into something? Was there somebody you didn't see?
I would assume I'd just time it wrong and someone would see me.
Okay. You timed it wrong. Somebody saw you. And as Laswell's going to make a hard choice, is she going to abandon you and go for the ship, or is she going to go for you, I should say? Is she going to help you out? I'm going to say, just true to Laswell's character, she's going to go for the ship.
That makes
And
sense.
she's going to steal through the shadows and get to the ship while you take the heat. And the heat is a bunch of drawn blasters in your direction. And one of the grunts says, "Hey, stay right there. Who are you? Why are you here?"
Well, I was told to report here, but I think I have the wrong hangar. This does not look like where I was told to go.
I'm gonna need you to roll plus charm to try and convince them that you are just a lost little Zabrak. And that's a 14. Oh my god. How do you convince them extra good that you're lost, or do you what
Well,
is there any additional dialogue, I should say?
are this when we entered, is this multiple hangars, I assume?
Yeah, there are a couple of hangars attached to
So
each other.
what was the number on this hangar?
23.
So I'm gonna kind of like look around a bit. Is hangar 27? No?
He says, "No, this is hangar 23."
Ah, I am sorry. Where is hangar 27?
You're gonna want to go down a couple hangars. You head out the door, take a left, and head all the way down. It's gonna be the last hangar on the row.
Thank you, sir. I am sorry for interrupting. Uh, Good day. And I'm going to turn and head out.
Okie dokie. Um, as you head out, one of the guys probably cat calls you, I think, because you said that this is a female Zabrak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
one of the guys cat calls you. Obviously a little drunk and tired. Oh, what do you do?
Wink at him on the way out.
Oh, okay. And and okay. So you exit the hangar. How do you get back in?
Well, Laswell's boarded the ship, and she's got it under control, I guess. Or at least I would hope so. I'm gonna wait for a bit to see if she manages to make it out with the codes, because I did draw their attention, so hopefully that goes smoothly.
You hear a shout from inside, and you hear a tussle, and you peek your head around the open bay door, and you see Laswell being dragged out of the ship by a guard, and now she's being held by both arms, standing in place, while a couple of the thugs are gathered around, and you see another figure walk out of the shuttle, accompanied by two more, and it's a very low. The light is dim. You can't really make out who it is. The conversation is very quiet on his half, but Laswell is being loud and obnoxious, and he apparently says something that gets her to quiet down after a little bit. But Laswell is now caught. What do you do?
Yeah, I was afraid of that. Um, can I fire from the door without revealing who is firing?
Sure, I'd suppose so. What are you firing at?
One near the the one that I was talking to, like one at him to try to either hit him or just go near him, and the other one at the guy holding Laswell's left arm.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to roll to kick some ass.
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
That is a double
6.
six, ladies and gentlemen. You're just marking experience all over the place, aren't you?
Hey, look, a level up. I
Um,
wanted to say. That's not what I wanted to be able to have to say.
you fire off two shots and they collide with the hull of the spaceship and one of the boxes that's laying around, and the grunts scatter. And Laswell takes this opportunity. Oof, doof. Somebody else is marking experience left and right today. Holy cannoli.
Oh, lovely.
So experience. Oh, look, a level up. She actually manages to break free for a moment and start to get away, but then they have all drawn blasters, and one says, "All right, not another step. You stay right there." And she freezes and puts her hands up. So now the situation has escalated even more and gotten even worse. What do you do?
Well, is anyone coming my direction?
Nope. Again, I cannot stress this to you enough. It's like 2 a.m. Nobody is out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody except the shady characters. And
You
there's
mean
not
the
a whole lot of
British?
them right now.
Okay. There's a total of 8.
9,
9.
because there were 6. 3 came out of the ship.
Are there any explosives that appear to be laying around here or within blaster range?
There is a box off to the right that has the universal symbol for ammunition spray painted on the side of it.
What the hell's the worst that could happen? I'm gonna shoot 2 shots again. One aimed at the ammunition, and the other one aimed at the one holding Laswell's right arm.
Nobody's holding her arms anymore.
Oh,
Um,
and the one that I was talking to earlier. Another shot at him.
Okie dokie, go ahead and roll to kick some ass.
Gosh damn it.
And that's a 3.
Not okay.
Mark experience. At this point, you've missed again, and a couple of the grunts are making their way towards you with blasters drawn. They know where you are now. Laswell is worried in understandably so. She is talking, like you see her kind of as you peer behind the wall, and you see her talking to this captain of these guys, and the 3 thugs have broken off and are coming towards you. What do you do?
Well, I never exactly got a yes or no on the specs of the starship that I have. What
Oh,
was your
we'll say
uh,
we'll say yeah, that one works. Do we have a name for it?
how does Stormwolf sound?
Sounds good.
So, since I have it slave rigged to a controller, I'm going to call that in as fast as possible.
You see off in the distance the Storm Wolf lift off out of the hangar, and actually out of hangar 27, and you see it start hovering in your direction. What do you tell the Storm Wolf to do?
Well, I have 2 forward-facing multi-directional turbo lasers. I kind of want to just start blowing these thugs to hell.
Considering how you need the ship, though,
Can I hit them without hitting the ship?
turbo lasers are not point defense, my man. They are
I know.
they are big fucking lasers.
Yes, correct.
You will blow up everything in that hangar if you blast anything with turbo lasers.
I kind of thought about that wrong when I said that originally.
Yeah, but they don't know that. They don't know what you want either. I think I have a good resolution for this. If you, how does a bluff sound where you bring the ship in and point the lasers, and you basically say, "I will kill you all if I do not get what I want."
Considering that, so I'm okay with that. The main thing I was considering is should I change my appearance, which I don't think I should. So
Okay.
yeah,
All
that's
right.
gonna be.
So you're not changing your appearance?
I'm gonna stay as the Zabrat.
Okay. You the ship, the Stormwolf, hovers over Hangar 23, and you see the turbo lasers point down, and a light flash on and point down at the thugs on the ground, and the thrusters kick up dust and wind in the hangar, kind of just being a general distraction. You step out and you level your blaster. What do you say to these fools?
As much fun as this dance is, I think it's time to end it. I need something from you, to be honest, and I don't have any more time to play. So you're going to give that to me, or I'm going to blow us all to hell, because honestly, I couldn't care less. So, are you going to help me, or are you going to die?
Laswell has this giant grin on her face as she turns and looks at the captain, and uh, he nods, and he shouts for you to back your ship off, and he is sure we can come to some kind of understanding. And so, do you make the ship hover away, or do you keep it there? What do you do?
I'm not moving that. No. Hey, we'll leave the ship in where it is.
Then that's perfect, because as you walk forward to retrieve Laswell, the ghouls, not ghouls, the goons part and let you through. And the captain steps forward and says, "You know, boys, I like this one. Tell me, what is your name? Because you are somebody that Hondo would just love to do business with."